Let's talk about the most important construction in the world right now. It's not high-speed trains or skyscrapers or airports or even pipelines. It's computers, more specifically, supercomputers. This is a data center. They are among the ugliest buildings in the modern world, which is probably why their big tech owners love to compensate with epic titles for the windowless gray rectangles. Colossus, Prometheus, Hyperion, Stargate. And inside these data centers, the most powerful tech companies in the world are building the future. The future of the internet, the future of software, the future of life as we know it. The amount of money being spent here is almost unfathomable. The Stargate data center, led by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and fully endorsed by US President Donald Trump, is projected to cost upwards of $500 billion. The only other project in the world with a comparable price tag would be that Line City in the Saudi desert. For a comparison to something that actually exists, the entire US interstate highway system cost the government $460 billion. And it's not just money at stake here. The consequences of a project like Stargate can impact people all around the United States, even the world. These supercomputers binge on electricity. If people think electric cars are bad for the grid, one modern data center can have the equivalent energy demand to 400,000 EVs running 24/7. And when you consume that much energy, you generate equally massive amounts of heat, which then requires millions of gallons of water to keep the computer system cool. Now, what is this all for? We are spending hundreds of billions, we are burning the energy equivalent of a small country. On the surface, it's all about training AI and creating new AI products, but the real reason goes deeper. Up until recently, the term supercomputer was typically associated with machines that decoded human DNA, predicted weather patterns, and developed new medical treatments. They accomplished this by running massive amounts of calculations in multiple parallel streams. The best analogy here is a Formula One pit crew. A single person definitely could change all of the tires and refill the gas tank, but it would take them a really long time. Compare that to using a team of people, each with their own specific task. Now the whole job can be done in a matter of seconds. It turns out this parallel computing strategy is also really effective for artificial intelligence, particularly when it comes to the training side of things. That's basically the process of getting the AI to do what you want. It's really complicated, but just know that this is the reason why all of these new supercomputers are being built. And the idea is that if you can build a big enough computer and feed it enough energy, then it might eventually create the world's first artificial super intelligence. That's the goal, at least, to accelerate the world towards a new era where AI knows everything and can do anything. It's something often referred to by tech people as the singularity. That may or may not even be possible, but one thing is for sure, there will be a lot of money to be made along the way. So we might as well talk about Elon Musk. The richest man in the world really kicked off this supercomputer trend 1 year ago with his Colossus, the biggest and most powerful AI data center in the world. It was built specifically to train Elon's Grok AI, which has quickly evolved from a simple chatbot to a multifunction AI agent that can generate video, write complex computer code, and even provide users with customizable AI companions or sex bots, if that's what you're into. And apparently, a lot of Grok users are. Anyway, Colossus gives us a pretty good look into what it takes to operate a modern supercomputer. Inside, there are 200,000 NVIDIA GPU chips wired together with fiber optic cables into one super-fast network. To power that, the data center requires around 300 megawatts of energy, which would be equal to the electricity demand of about 300,000 average US homes. And then, to keep it all cool, the data center uses somewhere between 1 million and 5 million gallons of water per day. Trying to manage power on this scale has proven to be a challenge, even for Elon Musk. The city of Memphis, where Colossus is located, wasn't able to provide enough electricity straight from the grid, so Musk's company had to deploy 35 natural gas-burning electric generators in the parking lot just to get this thing up and running. But this is only the beginning. Elon's xAI has already begun preparation for Colossus 2, a second data center in Memphis that will hold up to 1 million GPU chips. Not to be outdone, Facebook creator Mark Zuckerberg is following Elon down the data center rabbit hole. He recently announced that Meta would begin construction on 2 massive AI supercomputers. The first one, named Prometheus, is being built in New Albany, Ohio, and Zuckerberg has described it as a multi-gigawatt data center. Remember, Colossus is 300 megawatts. There are 1,000 megawatts in a gigawatt, so Meta's would be several times more powerful once complete, and Zuck expects Prometheus to come online next year. That would be followed up by Hyperion, an even bigger construction that will begin soon in Louisiana. Zuck says that the site for Hyperion will be nearly the size of Manhattan Island, which is about 23 square miles, and it will eventually scale up to a power usage of 5 gigawatts when fully operational in 2030. Zuckerberg claims that Meta will invest hundreds of billions of dollars in their quest to build AI superintelligence, and that these data centers will provide Meta with the highest computing power per AI researcher in the tech industry. And then there's Stargate. Now, it's not the biggest or the most powerful of the future data centers, but it is the most hyped and probably the most expensive as well. President Donald Trump has been a huge promoter of the Stargate project, regularly boasting about the $500 billion investment being made into America's AI development. Stargate is a group project, the most prominent member being OpenAI, creators of the world's most popular AI app, ChatGPT, and their CEO, Sam Altman, who has essentially become the face of artificial intelligence on the global stage. But what a lot of people don't know is that the majority of the funding for Stargate is coming from a Japanese investment firm called SoftBank. They are probably best known recently as the #1 shareholder in the failed co-working startup WeWork. SoftBank founder Masayoshi Son has been a longtime friend and supporter of Donald Trump, and the two have been involved in several multi-billion-dollar investments into U.S. projects over the years. The third major player in this deal is Oracle. They specialize in data center hardware, installing chips and server racks, running network cables, all of that technical IT work that's needed to actually make all of this stuff function. Stargate is currently being built at record speeds at a site in Abilene, Texas, with construction crews working around the clock and the goal of being the fastest data center to reach 100 megawatts. The Stargate supercomputer will be spread over 8 buildings. Each one will hold 50,000 GPU chips for a total of 400,000 when fully complete. But the number of GPUs isn't exactly a great metric to measure the capability of a supercomputer, because not all chips are equal. Elon's Colossus is running NVIDIA H100 GPUs. They are the current industry standard AI chip. Stargate will come online with NVIDIA's next generation Blackwell B200 chip, which performs about 50% faster in real-world applications than the H100. So power consumption is probably a better measurement for just how capable a data center will be. And Stargate is projected to reach 1.2 gigawatts, which is the equivalent of about 1 million US homes. And according to Doc Brown, it's just shy of the power needed to send a DeLorean back and forth through time. It'll probably take them a few years to get there, though, and it's likely that we are going to see each of Stargate's 8 clusters come on one at a time, because OpenAI needs more computing power as soon as possible. Sam Altman has said that the current limitation is not as much with training new AI models as it is with supplying the consumer demand for ChatGPT. Altman said recently that when the Studio Ghibli image trend kicked off in March, ChatGPT was gaining up to 1 million new users per hour, with an average of 150 million active users per week. Altman called the phenomenon biblical demand and joked that the company's GPUs were melting under the stress. They weren't actually melting, but OpenAI did have to divert computing assets away from their research and development and even slow down other features in ChatGPT to free up capacity. So the company needs to expand in order to be ready for the next viral AI trend. But is America ready for the impact of an AI arms race towards superintelligence? It's already being projected that by the year 2035, data centers will consume more than 8% of the nation's energy supply. And that figure probably doesn't fully account for what Zuckerberg, Musk, Altman, and all of the others truly have in mind. So if AI is going to scale up at an exponential rate, then so too will the energy supply. Unfortunately, it's probably easier to build supercomputers than it is to build new power generation. It's expected that renewable energy from wind and solar could scale up to meet about half of the demand, but the rest is going to have to come from somewhere else. Elon Musk has confirmed that XAI actually bought an entire power plant that is currently located overseas, and the company will be shipping it over to the USA piece by piece to help power Colossus 2. They've also bought an existing natural gas power plant in Memphis and a solar generation station as well. Zuckerberg has been making similar plans, with Meta signing a 20-year deal with an Illinois utility company that gives them use of an entire nuclear reactor. As for Stargate, there is a reason that they chose to build in West Texas. The region is famous for its wind, and it is home to a rapidly growing industry for windmill power generation. They are also partnering with a SoftBank-funded company called SB Energy to provide solar panels and battery storage at the Stargate facility. And in the long term, Sam Altman has been investing in companies that are building small modular nuclear reactors. These are expected to be operational sometime in the late 2020s to early 2030s. Think about how much the internet changed the world in the early 2000s. Even if you were alive in the before times, it's already gotten pretty hard to remember what life was even like without it. AI is promising to do that all over again in the 2030s. And these supercomputers are the foundation that this change will be built on. If these guys actually build all of the stuff they're talking about right now, then we could be in for a real mess over the next few years. The most expensive mess the world has ever seen. But it could all work out in the end. Either way, this is the horse that the richest men in the world have all dedicated to place their bets on. So we will just have to strap in for the ride.